Okay, I think we're running. So this is an example of the method of Nullclines again. And so we're going to do qualitative analysis. I'm going to try to do as little bit of algebra as I possibly can here. And so x prime is and y prime are given there. And so the method of Nullclines, we set our functions equal to 0. And then we solve. And so I've gone ahead and solved easy factorization there. So I just pull out an x from the first one, and I pull out a y from the second one. And so that leaves us then with four curves. So x equals 0 is the first one, and then the second one is where I set the line equal to 0, and then moving the y over to the other side, I get y equals 2 minus x, and then y equals 0 is the third curve, and the last curve is when I set this equal to 0, which is a circle of radius 3/2. And so if I draw my objects here, I'm going to go ahead and draw the circle in. Let's see, it's got a radius of 3/2. Okay. Oh, I don't have enough room. Okay, I'll just draw it this way. Okay. And so then we have another line going in through here that has a slope of 2. And so it's going to kind of cut the circle. So this is not to scale. I'm going to try to get it. Okay, there we go. That's pretty close. Good. And so this is 2 and this is 1.5. And this is 1.5 and 2. Good. And so those are the hard curves, and then the other curves are just the x and y axes. Now, where are the equilibrium solutions at? Remember, one of these has to intersect the other set. So 0, 0 is 1. And then where x equals 0 intersects with the circle, that would be at this point, and there would be a mirror image down here, right? We're kind of ignoring the negative numbers for now. We're pretending that these are like populations, but there would be a symmetry there. Okay, and similarly, if y is equal to 2 minus x, then either y equals 0, and then x is equal to 2, so that would be this point, or y equals 2 minus x, and that would where that intersects the circle. So that would be this point and this point. Okay. Now we could find these values algebraically, right? We could plug in y equals 2 minus x right there, and then just solve. And it, well, I'm not going to tell you what it is because it doesn't matter. So let's see if we can work out where our arrows go now. Okay. So the way I want to look at this is the following. I'm going to focus on the line and the circle here for a second. Okay, and now the circle, where the circle, or if you're on the circle itself, right, that means your function, which was 9/4 minus x squared minus y squared, is equal to 0, right? Now, what happens if you were inside the circle? If you were inside the circle, for example, at the origin, then you would put x equals 0 and y equals 0. And so in this case, the circle is positive, right? Or this function that you're plugging into the circle. Notice that this is the expression that we had for the derivative right here. And so inside the circle, that expression is positive. And then outside the circle, what would it be? Circle is negative. Okay, good. Now also, what simplifies things a lot is that in this first quadrant, y is positive, so you don't have to worry about the interaction of y with the circle. Okay, good. And so let's go ahead and mark that in our picture then. Outside the circle, or outside the circle was positive, so y prime is positive outside the circle, and then inside the circle y prime is negative. Good. Now, how about the line? Well, for the line, if you're sitting on the line, then what's the equation for the line? 2 minus x minus y? 2 minus x minus y equals 0. What happens if you're below the line? If you're below the line, for example at 0, 0, then the equation for the line is positive. And if you're above the line, for example, what's the point above the line? 2, 2. That would be above the line. The line is negative, right? And so that means, and in this first quadrant, of course, x is positive, right? And so if you're below the line, x prime we said was positive. And if you're above the line, x prime is negative. Okay? And so let's put in the arrows now. If you're on the line, right, that means x prime is equal to 0. And so what about y prime? Well, y, for example, in this region, y prime is positive. Therefore, you're going to be moving in what direction? Let me stop for a moment because I think that I said it correctly, but I wrote it down incorrectly. Inside, the circle is positive, right? But I said that y prime was negative. So y prime is positive here. Again, that's because if you plug something in like 0, 0, you get a positive number for this expression. And so any number that you, for example, on the line, right, if you're on this line here, and inside the circle it would be positive. Outside the circle, it's negative. Okay, so this, I got those flipped somehow. So that's important because I was just about to draw the wrong line. So in this region, we're going to be going down then because y prime is negative. Okay, now how about these points along the line here? Y prime is positive, so that means I'm going to go up. And then these are outside the circle, down. Now I'm not going to extend that down here, right? Because my y, I don't want negative y's because that is going to mess up my side chart. Okay, so we're only going to do the first quadrant here. Good. All right, so now let's do the points along the circle. What's happening for the points along the circle? Well, as I come around here, I'm under the line, and so that means that x prime is positive, and so I'm going to be going to the right. Let me use a different color. I'm going to go to the right. And then for these, I'm going to be going to the left. And then for these, we'll be going to the right again. Good. All right, and so that's how you put these together. Now, how about the x-axis here? That's a little bit easier because one of them is going to be 0, right? So, for example, if x is equal to 0, then we just have, well, and y is positive, right? We're inside the circle, and so where are we going? Inside the circle means positive, so we're going to be going up. And then how about on this side? I think x prime is going to be positive, so that's going to be going that direction. Good. All right, so we're kind of getting a picture of what's happening here. And so the last thing we would do is to take a look at the online plotter, just to double check that everything is looking good. Very good. So this is the method of Nullclines in a graphical way. And so this this technique is kind of nice, especially when we're only interested in the first quadrant, because that simplifies our expressions quite a bit, because the sign of x doesn't matter anymore and the sign of y doesn't matter anymore because they're both positive. So therefore we're just looking at these two expressions. Good. That made it a lot easier. Excellent. All right, so give it a try with some of the other exercises. This is about as complicated as it gets. So if you were able to understand what we just did, you're looking good. All right, I'll see you later.